What if I told you that every single time you've begged for money, you've actually been pushing it further away from you? That every desperate, "I need this so badly," has been sending a signal to the universe that keeps abundance locked behind an invisible barrier you didn't even know existed? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Has this ever happened to you? You're facing a bill, staring at your bank account, and that familiar panic rises in your chest. You find yourself whispering prayers, making bargains with life itself, or even literally begging, whether it's to your boss for a raise, to circumstances for a break, or to the universe for just enough to get by. But here's what most people never realize. That very act of begging is the exact reason money keeps slipping through their fingers like water. Florence Scovel Shinn understood something that escapes 99% of people struggling with money today. She discovered that there's an invisible power dynamic at play between you and wealth, and most of us have been playing our role completely wrong. We've been taught to approach money as if we're servants begging for scraps from a master, when the truth is far more revolutionary than that. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might surprise you, and it will definitely challenge everything you've been conditioned to believe about how money flows into your life. The shift I'm going to share with you isn't just about changing your words. It's about completely flipping the power structure that governs your entire financial reality. Think about it for a moment. When you say, "I hope money comes," what position are you speaking from? When you whisper, "Please, I need this job," what energy are you projecting? When you cross your fingers hoping for financial relief, who exactly is in control in that scenario? The uncomfortable truth is that you've been unknowingly positioning yourself as the weaker party in every financial interaction, and weakness repels the very thing you're trying to attract. But what if there was another way? What if, instead of hoping and begging, you could command? What if money was designed to respond to authority rather than desperation? What if the universe has been waiting this entire time for you to stop asking and start declaring? The ancient wisdom keepers knew this secret. Successful people throughout history have understood this principle, whether consciously or intuitively. They don't beg for opportunities. They create them. They don't hope for wealth. They expect it. They don't ask if they're worthy. They assume they are. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to make this shift from beggar to commander. And once you understand the specific language that money responds to, your entire relationship with abundance will never be the same. The words you're about to learn have the power to collapse time between desire and manifestation. But first, you need to understand why your current approach has been working against you. If you're ready to command your abundance instead of hoping for it, subscribe. We dive into the mindset shifts that actually create lasting change. Now, I want to go even deeper into this transformation because there's a hidden truth that Florence Scovel Shinn discovered over a century ago, and it's been quietly changing lives ever since. She taught something that sounds almost too simple to be real. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But most people completely misunderstand what this actually means. This isn't about sitting in your room, visualizing and hoping the universe notices your good intentions. This isn't about polite requests sent out into the cosmic void. What Florence Scovel Shinn was revealing is something far more powerful. She was teaching you to stand tall with authority and watch reality itself bend under the commanding power of your voice. The difference is profound. When you hope for money, you're admitting you don't have it. When you wish for abundance, you're confirming your current lack. But when you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, something extraordinary happens in the fabric of reality. You stop being someone who needs money and transform into someone who naturally attracts it. Behind the scenes of every financial breakthrough, there's always this moment of inner revolution where a person stops asking, "How can I get money?" and starts declaring, "Money flows to me." It's a complete mindset revolution that impacts every decision you make, every opportunity you notice, and every action you take. Here's what's fascinating about this journey of transformation. there exists one specific command that makes all the begging, hoping, and desperate energy completely unnecessary forever. This single phrase has the power to reverse the entire relationship dynamic between you and wealth. Instead of you chasing money, this command makes money chase you. Instead of you being at the mercy of circumstances, you become the source of power that circumstances respond to. The revelations that come from understanding this shift are life-altering. People who discover this command often describe it as finally remembering something they always knew but had somehow forgotten. It's like waking up from a dream where you thought you were powerless only to realize you've had the authority all along. What makes this so powerful is that it doesn't require you to change your entire life overnight. It doesn't demand years of study or complex rituals. It's simply about recognizing the true relationship between your voice and the flow of abundance, then speaking from that place of knowing rather than hoping. The impact of this realization extends far beyond just money. When you understand how to command rather than beg, it affects your relationships, your career opportunities, your confidence, and even how strangers respond to your presence. There's an energy that successful people carry, and once you access it, doors begin opening that you never even knew existed. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to command," if this resonates with your journey right now, and let me show you exactly what this transformative phrase is and how it works. The profound revelation here is understanding why your current approach has been sabotaging your financial success without you even realizing it. There's a universal law at work that most people discover too late. The harder you chase something, the faster it runs away from you. This principle operates in relationships, opportunities, and especially with money. Think about it from a different perspective. When you're desperate for someone's attention, they can sense that neediness, and it actually pushes them away. The same energetic dynamic happens with money. Every time you chase after it with that frantic, desperate energy, you're unknowingly creating what I call repellent force. This energy literally tells reality that you're powerless, that you don't have abundance, and that you're waiting for something outside yourself to come save you. Behind the scenes of this invisible interaction, something fascinating is happening that most people never understand. The universe doesn't just hear your words. It's constantly listening to the energetic position you speak from. You could repeat, "I want money," 1,000 times, but if your voice is trembling with need, if your energy is desperate and shaky, the universe only receives one clear message: keep money far away from this person. This discovery completely transformed my understanding of how manifestation actually works. It's not about the specific words you say or the number of times you repeat an affirmation. It's about the internal state. You're broadcasting while you speak. When you beg, you're broadcasting lack. When you desperately hope, you're transmitting neediness. When you anxiously worry about money, you're sending out signals of scarcity. The journey of transformation begins when you recognize that your current energetic position has been working against you. Every sleepless night spent worrying about bills, every anxious conversation about not having enough, every moment of panic when looking at your bank account. All of these experiences have been programming the universe to maintain your current financial reality. This hidden truth explains why some people seem to effortlessly attract money, while others work incredibly hard, but never seem to get ahead. It's not about luck, connections, or even talent. It's about the fundamental energetic relationship they have with abundance. Those who naturally attract wealth speak from a position of expectation rather than desperation, authority rather than begging, certainty rather than hope. If you felt that shift about your relationship with money, hit the like button. That connection tells me we're building something meaningful. The impact of this realization is immediate once you truly grasp it. You start to notice how your voice changes when you talk about money. You become aware of the energy you carry into financial conversations. You begin to feel the difference between asking from lack and declaring from power. What makes this transformation so powerful is that it happens from the inside out. You don't need to change your external circumstances first. You don't need to wait until you have more money to speak with authority about money. The shift happens in your energetic position, and then reality begins rearranging itself to match that new frequency. Write in the comments, "I feel this shift happening," if you're starting to understand how your energy has been affecting your financial reality, because what comes next will show you exactly how to flip this dynamic. Now, I want to reveal something that Florence Scovel Shinn understood about human psychology that most people completely miss. She warned us that we must dare to assume we already are what we seek. But here's where the transformation gets really profound. Assumption isn't whispering sweet hopes into the universe. Assumption isn't pleading with circumstances to change. True assumption is command, pure and simple. Think about this behind-the-scenes reality for a moment. When a king sits on his throne, does he beg his servants to bring him what he needs? When a general addresses his soldiers, does he say, "Please, if you don't mind, could you possibly consider following this order?" The very idea sounds ridiculous because authority doesn't ask permission. It simply declares and expects compliance. This is the mindset revolution that changes everything about your financial journey. You've been approaching money like a peasant approaching royalty, hat in hand, hoping to be granted an audience. But the hidden truth that Florence Scovel Shinn discovered is that you were never the peasant in this scenario. You were always meant to be the one with the authority. The impact of this realization can feel overwhelming at first, because when you initially hear the words that actually make money move, it will feel strange, almost uncomfortable. There's a perfectly logical reason for this reaction, and understanding it is crucial for your transformation. You've been trained your entire life not to command. From childhood, society has systematically conditioned you to lower your head, wait your turn, hope for the best, and beg when necessary instead of taking charge of your financial destiny. Every "be polite," every "wait your turn," every "don't ask for too much" has been programming you to shrink rather than expand, to request rather than require, to hope rather than expect. The educational system, family dynamics, social norms, they've all been unconsciously teaching you that commanding energy is somehow wrong or selfish or inappropriate. This conditioning runs so deep that when you first access true commanding energy around money, your nervous system might actually resist it. You might feel guilty, like you're being presumptuous. You might worry that you're being arrogant or that you don't deserve to speak with such authority. These feelings are completely normal because they represent decades of programming being challenged by your authentic power. The revelations that come from understanding this dynamic are staggering. Most people spend their entire lives bumping up against their own internal permission barriers, never realizing that the very hesitation they feel when claiming their abundance is what's been keeping abundance away. The universe responds to the energy of certainty, not the energy of, "I hope I'm allowed to have this." What makes this journey so transformative is recognizing that the strange, almost rebellious feeling you get when speaking with financial authority isn't a warning sign. It's actually confirmation that you're breaking through the conditioning that's been limiting you. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to break the conditioning," if you can feel yourself pushing against these invisible barriers that have been holding your financial growth back, because the specific command that dissolves all this resistance is about to be revealed. The breakthrough moment in this transformation comes when you understand that most people completely confuse confidence with commanding, and this confusion is costing them their financial freedom. Confidence is something you build up, something you work on, something that can fluctuate based on your mood or circumstances. But commanding is entirely different. It's not about how loud your voice is, it's not about forcing anything or trying to convince anyone. True command is about certainty, the kind of unshakable certainty that doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for approval, and never doubts its own authority. Behind the scenes of every major financial breakthrough, you'll find this type of quiet certainty. It's not the person screaming affirmations in the mirror or trying to pump themselves up with motivational techniques. It's the person who simply knows, without question, that money responds to their voice. This knowing doesn't come from external validation or proof. It exists independently of circumstances. Florence Scovel Shinn captured this perfectly when she said, Your assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. Most people gloss over this statement without understanding its revolutionary implications. Notice that she didn't say your hope becomes fact. She didn't say your wishes become fact. She said assumption. And assumption operates from a completely different energetic frequency than hope or wishing. The hidden truth about assumption is that it's quiet authority. It doesn't need to announce itself or prove its legitimacy to anyone. When you assume something is already yours, you're not trying to convince the universe. You're simply acknowledging what you know to be true. This is why assumption is so powerful and why it makes begging completely unnecessary. This journey of understanding reveals something profound about how reality actually works. Your assumptions, when held consistently, don't just influence your behavior. They literally reshape the circumstances around you. People start responding to you differently. Opportunities begin appearing that weren't there before. Money starts flowing in ways that feel almost effortless because you're no longer swimming against the current of your own doubt. The impact of this mindset shift extends far beyond just financial results. When you operate from assumption rather than hope, every decision you make comes from a place of knowing rather than uncertainty. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop looking for external signs that it's okay to claim what you desire. You simply assume it's already yours and watch reality catch up to your inner knowing. Subscribe if you understand that transformation requires real authority over your circumstances, not just positive thinking. What makes this transformation so powerful is that assumption doesn't require evidence to function. In fact, it works best when you persist in it, despite what your current circumstances might be showing you. This is the leap that separates those who break through from those who remain stuck. The willingness to assume abundance even when the bank account doesn't yet reflect it. Write in the comments, I choose assumption over hope. If you're feeling this shift in your own energy and you're ready to discover the exact words that turn this inner knowing into external reality. Now, I want you to imagine something that will help you recognize this commanding energy when it shows up in your life. Picture a room full of nervous, uncertain people, everyone fidgeting and unsure of themselves. Then one person enters, calm, steady, absolutely centered. They don't need to raise their voice or plead for attention. They simply speak, and the entire atmosphere in the room shifts. Everyone naturally turns toward them. The energy changes. That's what true command feels like, and it has nothing to do with dominance or aggression. This transformation in energy is something you can actually feel in your body when it happens. It's a settling, a grounding, a quiet knowing that doesn't need to announce itself. Behind the scenes of every powerful moment in your life, this energy has been there. The beautiful revelation is that this commanding energy isn't rare or reserved for special people, celebrities, or those born into wealth. You've already experienced it more times than you realize. Think back through your journey. Remember that moment when you walked into an interview and somehow just knew you already had the job? That wasn't positive thinking or lucky confidence. That was pure command energy flowing through you. Or that time when you spoke up in a conversation and noticed how everyone leaned in to hear what you had to say? That wasn't an accident or a fluke. That was your natural authority expressing itself. The impact of recognizing these moments is profound because it means you're not trying to develop something new. You're simply learning to access something you already possess. Every person has experienced flashes of this commanding presence, but most people dismiss these moments as luck or coincidence. They don't realize they've just tapped into their authentic power. What makes this discovery so transformative is understanding that those moments when you felt unstoppable, when opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere, when people naturally wanted to help you, those weren't random events. They were you operating from your true energetic position, the one where you naturally attract rather than chase, command rather than beg. The hidden truth is that your entire financial reality has been shaped by how often you allow yourself to operate from this commanding energy versus how often you shrink back into hoping and waiting. Every decision you make from this place of knowing creates different results than decisions made from uncertainty or desperation. This journey of recognition helps you understand that you don't need to become someone different to attract money. You need to become more consistently who you already are in those powerful moments. The mindset shift happens when you stop treating those commanding moments as accidents and start treating them as glimpses of your authentic self. Write in the comments, "I remember those moments," if you're starting to recognize the times when you've naturally operated from this commanding energy. Because understanding how to access this state consistently is about to change everything about your relationship with abundance. The tragedy that plays out behind the scenes of most people's financial lives is heartbreaking when you truly understand what's happening. Most people do feel that commanding energy, that moment of absolute knowing and authority, but it happens once in a blue moon, and then they completely forget about it. They slip right back into the familiar patterns of begging, waiting, and hoping, never realizing they just abandoned the very energy that could transform their entire financial reality. This cycle of remembering and forgetting is what keeps so many people trapped in financial struggle when they could be stepping into their natural authority over money. It's like having the key to a treasure vault in your pocket, using it once, then walking away and spending years searching for another way in. The power was always there, but the mindset that accesses it consistently remains undeveloped. The transformation that needs to happen is moving from accidental access to intentional cultivation of this commanding energy. Most people treat their moments of natural authority like happy accidents, rather than recognizing them as glimpses of their true financial potential. This is why some individuals seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, while others work incredibly hard but never seem to break through. It's all about how consistently they operate from this commanding position. Now, I want to address something that's going to happen when you hear the actual words that activate this energy. Many people will experience what I call the simplicity trap. They'll hear the commanding phrase and think, "That's too simple. There has to be more to it than that." This mental resistance to simplicity keeps them stuck in complex, ineffective approaches to wealth building for years. Behind the scenes of this resistance is a deeply ingrained belief that anything powerful must be complicated. We've been conditioned to think that if something doesn't require struggle, sacrifice, or complex strategies, then it can't possibly work. This is perhaps the most damaging misconception about how abundance actually flows into your life. The hidden truth is that the universe operates on elegantly simple principles. Gravity doesn't require you to understand physics to work. Your heartbeat doesn't need your conscious supervision to continue. And money responds to commanding authority, whether you believe it should be more complicated or not. The impact of embracing this simplicity rather than fighting it is the difference between struggling for years and experiencing rapid transformation. The journey of breakthrough often requires letting go of the need for complexity and embracing the power of direct, simple authority. When you discover how straightforward it actually is to command money rather than chase it, part of you might feel almost disappointed by the simplicity. But this disappointment is just your ego wanting the process to be more elaborate so it can feel more special or deserving. The revelations that come from accepting this simplicity are profound because you realize you've been making everything much harder than it needed to be. Write in the comments, "Simple is powerful," if you're ready to let go of complicated strategies and embrace the direct approach that actually works, because the specific command that makes all this real is about to be revealed. Now, I want to share with you a perspective shift that completely revolutionizes how you think about money. And once you see it this way, you can never go back to your old relationship with abundance. Instead of viewing money as your master or your enemy, picture it as your loyal servant. This single mindset transformation changes everything about how you approach financial situations. Behind the scenes of this revelation is a profound understanding of energy dynamics. When a servant's master hesitates, stumbles over words, begs, or pleads, the Yi servant doesn't know how to respond. There's confusion, uncertainty, a lack of clear direction. But the moment that master gives a clear, certain command with quiet authority, the servant moves instantly. There's no questioning, no delay, no resistance, just immediate action. This journey of understanding transforms how you see every financial interaction in your life. Every time you've approached money with uncertainty, you've been giving mixed signals to your most loyal servant. Every moment of financial anxiety has been like a master who doesn't know what they want, leaving their servant confused and unable to help effectively. The hidden truth that most people never discover is that money has been waiting this entire time for clear direction from you. It's not withholding itself out of spite or because you're unworthy. It's simply responding to the unclear, hesitant energy you've been projecting, the same way any servant would respond to a master who can't make up their mind. This brings us to the uncomfortable line that most people spend their entire lives circling but never actually cross: the fundamental difference between hoping and commanding. This is where the real transformation happens, where your financial destiny literally shifts from struggle to flow. Hope is soft, gentle, and says, maybe one day, if circumstances align, if I'm lucky, if the universe decides I'm ready. But command is sharp, direct, and declares, now, here, mine. The impact of understanding. This distinction cannot be overstated. Hope sits in the waiting room of life, politely asking for permission, checking to see if it's okay to desire abundance, looking for signs that it's the right time. Command doesn't wait for permission because it doesn't need any. Command gives the order and expects compliance because that's the natural relationship between authority and response. Most people feel terrified when they approach this line because crossing it means taking full responsibility for their financial reality. It means no more excuses, no more maybe someday, no more hiding behind circumstances. Behind the scenes of every major financial breakthrough, you'll find someone who made the decision to cross this line despite the discomfort. The revelations that come from understanding this difference change how you walk through the world, how you make decisions, how you speak about money, and how others respond to your energy. Write in the comments, I'm crossing the line, if you can feel yourself approaching this moment of transformation where hoping ends and commanding begins, because the specific words that make this shift real are about to change your entire relationship with money. Now, I want to share with you something that completely changed my understanding of how reality actually operates, and it might challenge everything you've been taught about how change happens in your life. The universe doesn't respond to hope. It doesn't answer maybe. It doesn't rearrange itself for someday. The only energy that creates measurable shifts in your circumstances is authority, the kind of unwavering conviction that doesn't negotiate with doubt. Behind the scenes of every major transformation throughout history, you'll find this same pattern. The most powerful people who ever lived didn't hope their visions would manifest. They stepped into absolute conviction and declared, this will exist, this will happen, this will be. They spoke from a place of knowing that didn't require evidence or approval from others. This is the energy that moves mountains and creates empires. The hidden truth about your own journey is that you've been operating from the wrong energetic frequency without even realizing it. Every time you say, I hope things get better, or maybe next year, or if I'm lucky, you're broadcasting uncertainty to a universe that only responds to certainty. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while you're on the wrong frequency. You'll only get static. This brings us to something that might be uncomfortable to face, but understanding it is crucial for your transformation. Since childhood, you've been systematically conditioned to be polite, wait your turn, not ask for too much, and settle for whatever you're given. Every be patient, every good things come to those who wait, every don't get your hopes up too high, has been programming you away from your natural commanding power. The impact of this conditioning runs deeper than most people realize. You've been taught to bow your head instead of lifting it, to apologize for taking up space instead of claiming your territory, to whisper your desires instead of declaring them. This isn't your fault. It's the result of generations of programming designed to create compliant individuals rather than powerful creators. What makes this revelation so transformative is recognizing that your natural state isn't uncertainty or politeness around abundance. Your authentic self is the one who knows, without question, that resources flow toward authority and conviction. The person you were before the conditioning took hold understood that commanding energy is not arrogance. It's alignment with how the universe actually functions. The journey of reclaiming this authority means unlearning years of being taught to shrink, to question your worthiness, to wait for permission that's never coming. Behind the scenes of your financial struggles, this conditioning has been running the show, keeping you in patterns of hoping and waiting instead of declaring and receiving. Write in the comments, "I'm unlearning the conditioning," if you can feel yourself recognizing how these childhood patterns have been shaping your adult relationship with money, because breaking free from this programming is about to unlock the commanding voice that changes everything. The breakthrough moment in this transformation is when you realize that standing on the edge of commanding power feels uncomfortable for a very specific reason. It goes against every piece of social conditioning that's been programmed into you since birth. Command feels dangerous, rebellious, like you're breaking every unspoken rule that society has drilled into you about how you're supposed to behave around money and success. But here's the revelation that changes everything. That's exactly why it works. Behind the scenes of your discomfort is the recognition that you're stepping into forbidden territory. You've been taught that nice people don't command, that humble people don't declare, that good people wait their turn and accept what they're given. The moment you consider speaking with true authority about money, every internal alarm bell starts ringing because you're approaching the edge of who you've been allowed to be. This journey of transformation requires you to understand that the rebellious feeling isn't a warning. It's confirmation that you're breaking through the barriers that have been keeping abundance at arm's length. The impact of embracing this rebellious energy instead of shrinking away from it is the difference between staying trapped in financial limitation and stepping into your authentic power. The hidden truth that most people never grasp is that the universe doesn't move for the timid. Reality doesn't rearrange itself for people who wait politely in line, hoping someone will notice their good behavior and reward them accordingly. The universe bends for those who declare with authority, who speak from the position of knowing rather than hoping, who command rather than request. This is why stepping across the line from hoping to commanding changes absolutely everything about your relationship with money. It's not just a mental shift. It's an energetic revolution that affects how opportunities find you, how people respond to you, and how resources flow into your life. When you declare with authority, you're not just changing your words, you're changing your entire energetic signature. The revelations that come from understanding this dynamic explain why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth, while others struggle despite working incredibly hard. It's not about luck, connections, or even talent. It's about the willingness to step into the uncomfortable territory of commanding authority, even when it feels like you're breaking all the rules. What makes this transformation so powerful is recognizing that the rules you think you're breaking were never designed to help you thrive. They were designed to keep you small, manageable, and dependent. The moment you give yourself permission to speak with the same authority that successful people naturally use, reality begins reorganizing itself around your new energetic position. Write in the comments, "I give myself permission," if you can feel yourself preparing to step into this commanding authority that feels dangerous but holds the key to your financial transformation, because the specific words that activate this power are finally about to be revealed. What I'm about to share with you represents the point of no return in this transformation, and I want you to understand the full significance of what's happening here. Once you cross into commanding authority, something fundamental shifts inside you that can never be reversed. You'll never again feel comfortable whispering weak requests into the void. You'll never again feel natural bowing your head and waiting your turn, because that version of yourself literally dissolves the moment you step into your authentic power. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a complete identity shift that happens at the cellular level. People often describe it as feeling like they're remembering who they were always meant to be, like they're stepping out of a costume they didn't realize they were wearing. The impact of this shift extends far beyond just your relationship with money. It affects every area of your life where you've been settling for less than you deserve. The journey to this point has been building the entire foundation for what's about to happen, and your nervous system is already responding to the approaching change. Right before people cross into commanding authority, they feel a very specific sensation: tension in their chest, their mind racing, half excited and half afraid. If you're feeling this right now, that's not anxiety or nervousness. That's your entire being recognizing that you're approaching your breakthrough moment. This physical response is actually your body's way of preparing for the energetic upgrade that's about to occur. The tension you feel is the old programming resisting the new authority that wants to emerge. The excitement mixed with fear is your authentic self recognizing that freedom is just moments away, while your conditioned self worries about what happens when you stop playing small. The hidden truth about this sensation is that it's not warning you to back away. It's confirming that you're standing at the exact threshold between your limited past and your abundant future. Most people feel this energy and retreat because they mistake it for a danger signal. But those who push through this moment and embrace the discomfort are the ones who experience the radical transformation that changes everything. This is the moment where your decision determines your financial destiny. Will you step back into the familiar territory of hoping and waiting, or will you cross over into the authority that commands and receives? The revelations that await on the other side of this threshold will redefine not just how you think about money, but how you see yourself in relationship to all forms of abundance. What makes this moment so powerful is that once you make this crossing, your old patterns of financial struggle won't even make sense to you anymore. You'll look back at your former self with compassion, understanding how the conditioning kept you trapped, but you won't be able to return to that limited identity even if you wanted to. Write in the comments, "I feel the shift coming," if you're experiencing this tension right now, because the commanding words that make this transformation permanent are about to be spoken. And when you hear them, everything changes. The profound realization I want to share with you is that this transformation goes far deeper than just changing your financial situation. This isn't simply about money or success. This is about understanding your relationship with reality itself and recognizing that you were designed to be an active participant in shaping your experience rather than a passive recipient of whatever circumstances decide to bring you. Behind the scenes of every major life transformation is this fundamental shift in how someone sees their role in their own story. Instead of viewing yourself as someone who things happen to, you begin to understand that you're someone who makes things happen through the power of decisive action and unwavering commitment to your vision. This mindset revolution affects every decision you make, every opportunity you recognize, and every response you choose when faced with challenges. The hidden truth that most people never discover is that life was never designed to lead you around by the hand, giving you signs and green lights for every move you want to make. You've been waiting for permission that was never meant to be given by external forces. The moment this understanding really lands inside you, something fundamental changes in how you move through the world. You stop shuffling through life apologetically, hoping someone will notice your good behavior and reward you accordingly. This journey of awakening to your own authority creates a ripple effect that extends into every area of your existence. When you understand that you're meant to make decisions from a place of inner knowing rather than external validation, your entire relationship with choice and possibility transforms. You stop looking outside yourself for answers that can only come from within. The impact of this shift in perspective cannot be understated because it affects not just what you think you can achieve, but what you actually attempt. Most people live their entire lives as followers of their circumstances, reacting to whatever shows up instead of proactively creating the conditions they desire. But when you step into the role of conscious decision maker, you become someone who sets the direction rather than someone who gets carried along by whatever current happens to be flowing. This transformation in identity is what separates those who struggle financially from those who thrive. It's not about luck or privilege. It's about understanding that you have far more influence over your circumstances than you were taught to believe. The revelations that come from embracing this level of personal responsibility are both liberating and intimidating because there are no more excuses, no more waiting for the perfect moment, no more blaming external forces for internal decisions. Write in the comments, "I choose to lead," if you're feeling this shift from passive hoping to active creating, because the specific command that puts this new identity into immediate action is about to transform how money responds to your voice. Now, I want to reveal what Florence Scovel Shinn truly meant when she spoke about the power of assumption, because most people completely misunderstand what she was teaching. She wasn't talking about passive sitting in your room, hoping the universe might notice your good intentions and decide to help you out. When Florence Scovel Shinn spoke about assumption, she was describing fire, pure declaration that burns through doubt and uncertainty. Behind the scenes of this teaching is a profound understanding of how conscious creation actually works. Assumption is the inner crown you put on your head before the world even sees it. It's the decision to claim your throne before anyone acknowledges your authority. When you truly assume, you're not hoping or wishing. You're commanding with the kind of force that reality cannot ignore. This transformation in understanding changes everything about how you approach your desires. Most people think assumption means visualizing or daydreaming about what they want, but real assumption is active, decisive, and unwavering. It's the energy of someone who has already made the internal decision and is simply waiting for external circumstances to catch up to their inner knowing. The hidden truth about timing that changes everything is this: begging energy attracts delay, and wishing energy attracts waiting, but commanding energy collapses time itself. When you command from that place of absolute assumption, you're not just hoping something will eventually happen. You're creating the conditions for immediate response from the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn said your assumption, if persisted in, hardens into fact. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They never truly assume because they doubt, they hedge their bets, they leave themselves escape routes in case it doesn't work. True assumption leaves no room for doubt because doubt dissolves the very energy that makes assumption effective. The impact of understanding this distinction is profound because it explains why some people seem to manifest things effortlessly while others struggle for years with the same desires. It's not about worthiness or luck, it's about the quality of assumption. Those who break through maintain their assumption despite external evidence, while those who struggle allow their assumption to waver every time circumstances don't immediately reflect their desires. This journey of mastering assumption requires you to understand that persistence doesn't mean repeating words mindlessly. It means maintaining the inner conviction that what you've assumed is already true, even when your bank account or current situation suggests otherwise. The revelations that come from this level of commitment to your assumption create results that seem almost miraculous to outside observers. Write in the comments, "I assume it's already mine," if you can feel this shift from hoping to declaring, because the specific words that activate this commanding assumption about money are about to be revealed. Now, I want you to visualize something that perfectly captures the transformation we've been building toward throughout this entire journey. Imagine you're standing before a locked door that represents everything you've been wanting in your financial life. Most people approach this door with the same predictable pattern. They knock politely, hoping someone on the other side will hear them and decide they're worthy of entry. Others stand there waiting, checking their watch, wondering if maybe they came at the wrong time, or if they should come back later when conditions might be more favorable. But here's the mindset shift that changes absolutely everything about how you interact with opportunities, abundance, and financial breakthrough. A true commander doesn't knock and wait for permission. They don't stand outside hoping someone will notice their good behavior and grant them access. A commander walks up to that door and turns the handle as if it was already theirs, expecting it to open because they understand their rightful place in the equation. And when they turn that handle with that kind of quiet authority, the door swings wide open. Behind the scenes of this metaphor is the entire transformation we've been discussing. The difference isn't in the door. The door is the same for everyone. The difference is in the energy and expectation you bring to the approach. When you knock and wait, you're operating from lack, hoping someone else will decide your fate. When you turn the handle with authority, you're operating from ownership, claiming what you already know belongs to you. This shift in approach affects every financial decision you make, every opportunity you encounter, and every conversation you have about money. People can sense the difference between someone who's asking for permission and someone who's claiming their territory. The impact of this energetic shift is immediate and undeniable. Doors that seemed permanently locked suddenly become accessible. The transformation that's been building throughout this entire conversation is about to crystallize into something concrete and actionable. The phrase I'm about to reveal isn't just a collection of words you repeat. It's a key that unlocks money, opportunities, and favor faster than you've ever imagined. This is the exact turning point where begging dies and commanding begins, where hoping transforms into knowing, where waiting becomes receiving. What makes this moment so significant is that once you hear these words and understand how to use them properly, you'll never again feel comfortable approaching your financial reality from a position of weakness. The revelations that come from speaking with this kind of authority will fundamentally alter how money flows into your life, how people respond to your requests, and how quickly your circumstances can shift when you command rather than beg. Write in the comments, "I'm ready for the key," if you can feel yourself preparing to step into this commanding authority that turns handles instead of knocking, because the specific words that make this entire transformation real are about to change how money responds to your voice forever. This is the moment everything has been building toward, and I want you to feel the full weight of what you're about to receive, the entire journey of transformation we've taken together, from understanding why begging repels money to recognizing your natural, commanding authority has been preparing you for these specific words that will fundamentally alter your relationship with abundance forever. The command that changes everything is simply this: money comes when I call. Let those words settle into your consciousness for a moment. Notice how they feel different from anything you've ever said about money before. These words don't ask for permission. They don't beg for consideration. They don't hope for eventual results. They order. They instruct. They command with the kind of quiet authority that reality cannot ignore. Behind the scenes of this phrase is a complete reversal of the energy dynamic you've been operating from your entire life. When you declare, "Money comes when I call," you're not speaking as someone who chases after financial opportunities. You're not positioning yourself as someone who waits for money to notice you or decide you're worthy. You're claiming your position as someone who summons abundance through the power of decisive command. This transformation in language represents a fundamental shift in identity. You're aligning yourself with the truth that wealth was designed to respond to your voice, just like nature responds to natural authority. Think about how a storm doesn't ask permission to roll in, how the ocean doesn't hesitate to fill the spaces that call to it, how gravity doesn't doubt its power to pull things toward Earth. This is the same kind of natural authority you're claiming when you speak these words. The impact of understanding this shift from chasing to summoning cannot be overstated. When you chase money, you're always running behind it, hoping to catch up, hoping it will slow down enough for you to reach it. But when you summon money, you stand still in your power and call it toward you. The entire dynamic reverses. Instead of you pursuing abundance, abundance begins pursuing you. What makes this command so powerful is that it doesn't leave room for doubt or hesitation. There's no maybe or hopefully or if possible embedded in the energy. It's a direct declaration that establishes your authority and expects compliance. The revelations that come from speaking with this level of certainty create immediate shifts in how opportunities present themselves to you. Write in the comments, "Money comes when I call," if you're ready to claim this commanding authority, and watch how reality responds when you stop begging and start summoning, because understanding how to activate this phrase properly will determine whether it becomes just words or becomes the key that transforms your entire financial reality. Now, I want to reveal something that Florence Scovel Shinn understood about the power of spoken words that most people completely overlook. She said, "Your word is law, and when you truly grasp what this means, it transforms how you approach every conversation you have about money. When spoken with genuine conviction, your word isn't a polite suggestion sent out into the universe hoping someone might consider it. Your word isn't a humble request asking for permission. Your word is law." Behind the scenes of this understanding is a profound shift in how you see your relationship with reality itself. Law doesn't negotiate with circumstances. Law doesn't ask if it's convenient or if the timing is right. Law simply enforces itself through the fabric of existence. And when you speak from that place of knowing, reality has no choice but to respond accordingly. This journey of transformation reveals something that changes everything about how you use the phrase, "Money comes when I call." Every single time you speak these words, you're not just repeating an affirmation or hoping the universe will hear your good intentions. You're activating something far more powerful. You're setting in motion a chain of events that begins pulling resources, people, and opportunities directly toward you through the sheer force of commanding authority. The impact of understanding this distinction between affirming and activating cannot be understated. Affirmations are often spoken with a questioning energy, hoping they might work, wondering if you're doing it right, secretly doubting whether you deserve what you're asking for. But activation comes from a place of absolute certainty that doesn't leave room for doubt or hesitation. What makes this transformation so powerful is recognizing that when you activate this command, you're not trying to convince the universe of anything. You're not attempting to persuade reality to bend in your favor. You're simply stating what you know to be true and allowing the natural consequences of that declaration to unfold. The revelations that come from operating at this level of certainty create results that seem almost miraculous to people who are still operating from hoping and wishing. The hidden truth about activation is that it works independently of your current circumstances. You don't need to wait until you have more money to speak with financial authority. You don't need external proof before claiming your commanding position. The activation happens the moment you speak from that place of knowing, regardless of what your bank account currently shows. This mindset revolution affects every decision you make moving forward because you're no longer someone who waits for favorable conditions before claiming abundance. You become someone who creates favorable conditions through the power of decisive command. Write in the comments, "I activate my authority," if you can feel the difference between hoping for money and commanding it. Because understanding how to maintain this activated state consistently will determine whether this becomes a momentary shift or a permanent transformation in your financial reality. The hidden truth about your financial reality lies in something you probably never paid attention to: the specific language you use when talking about money. Every word you speak reveals whether you see yourself as money's master or its servant. And this distinction determines everything about how abundance flows into your life. When you catch yourself saying phrases like, "I hope I get paid soon," or "I wish money would come," you're unconsciously putting money in the position of authority and yourself in the position of someone who waits for its approval. Behind the scenes of this language pattern is a deeply embedded identity that's been running your financial decisions without your conscious awareness. These seemingly innocent phrases are actually declarations of powerlessness that train your subconscious mind to maintain a relationship with money where you're always at its mercy. But when you declare, "Money comes when I call," you flip this entire script and put yourself in the commanding position where money responds to your authority rather than the other way around. This transformation in how you speak about money creates an identity shift that affects every financial decision you make moving forward. Your energy changes when you walk into a bank. Your voice changes when you negotiate salary. Your entire presence changes when discussing investments or business opportunities because you're no longer speaking as someone who hopes money will notice them. You're speaking as someone who expects money to respond. The journey of embracing this commanding language often brings up intense fear for most people, and understanding why this happens is crucial for your transformation. This command terrifies average people because somewhere deep inside, they recognize that once you truly say these words and believe them, you can never go back to playing small. There's no returning to the comfort of victimhood once you've claimed this level of authority over your circumstances. The impact of this realization creates what I call the point of no return in personal development. Your energy shifts permanently. Your voice carries different weight in conversations. Your decisions come from a place of expectation rather than hope. People respond to you differently because they can sense you're operating from a fundamentally different relationship with power and possibility. What makes this transformation both exciting and terrifying is that it dissolves all your excuses for financial limitation. You can no longer hide behind circumstances, bad luck, or not knowing what to do because you've claimed the authority that makes those excuses irrelevant. The revelations that come from operating at this level of self-authority create results that seem impossible from your old mindset. Write in the comments, "I'm not going back," if you can feel this shift happening and you're ready to embrace the permanent change that comes with commanding authority over money. Because understanding how to maintain this new identity when your old patterns try to resurface will determine whether this transformation becomes lasting or temporary. Now, I want to share something that completely revolutionizes how you understand what money actually is, because this insight changes everything about how you interact with financial opportunities. Money isn't just paper sitting in your wallet or numbers displayed on a screen. Money is pure movement, flowing energy that responds to direction and command. When you understand that money is essentially energy in motion, you begin to see that it flows naturally toward those who speak with authority and away from those who speak with uncertainty. Behind the scenes of every financial transaction, every business deal, every moment when money changes hands, there's an invisible current of energy that moves toward the person who demonstrates the most commanding presence in that interaction. This is why some people seem to effortlessly attract financial opportunities, while others struggle despite having the same qualifications or working just as hard. It's not about merit or fairness. It's about who can direct the flow of this energy most effectively. This transformation in understanding reveals that learning to command money is literally learning to direct the flow of abundance toward yourself. You become like a conductor directing an orchestra, using your voice and intention to guide resources exactly where you want them to go. The impact of this realization affects every financial conversation you have, every negotiation you enter, and every decision you make about investments or opportunities. The journey from financial struggle to abundance can be understood through three fundamental shifts that represent a complete transformation in how you position yourself in relationship to money. The shift from asking to calling changes absolutely everything about your results. When you ask for money, you're admitting lack. You're confessing that you don't currently have what you need and hoping someone else will decide you're worthy of receiving it. When you beg for opportunities, you're announcing weakness. You're broadcasting that you're desperate and powerless to create your own circumstances. When you wait for financial relief or breakthrough, you're confessing powerlessness. You're declaring that your circumstances are beyond your control and you're dependent on external forces to save you. But when you call money, when you summon abundance with commanding authority, you're speaking from a completely different, energetic position. You're operating from the understanding that authority is what reality listens to and responds to. This mindset revolution creates immediate changes in how people respond to you, how opportunities present themselves, and how quickly your circumstances can shift when you stop positioning yourself as someone who needs and start positioning yourself as someone who commands. The revelations that come from making these three shifts affect every area of your life because you're no longer approaching your desires from weakness. You're claiming them from strength. Write in the comments, "I call, not ask," if you can feel yourself making these shifts and you're ready to discover exactly how to apply this commanding authority in real-life situations that will test whether this new identity is truly integrated or just temporary inspiration. The transformation that happens when you understand the mechanics behind this command reveals something profound about how your words actually interact with reality. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that imagination creates reality, and when you truly grasp what she meant, you understand that every time you speak, you're not just making sounds. You're planting images, feelings, and commands directly into the field of possibility that surrounds you. Behind the scenes of this process is something that most people never consider. When you declare, "Money comes when I call," you're not hoping the universe might overhear your good intentions. You're programming your subconscious mind with a new set of instructions, and your subconscious mind is what notices opportunities, makes decisions, and guides you toward the actions that create the results you've commanded. This journey of understanding reveals why money responds to authority the same way a well-trained dog responds when called by its master. The dog doesn't question whether the master is worthy or analyze whether it's the right time to respond. It simply hears the authority in the voice and moves. Your subconscious operates with the same kind of immediate responsiveness when you speak with genuine conviction rather than hopeful uncertainty. The impact of speaking this command with true authority creates a shift that eliminates one of the biggest obstacles to financial breakthrough: the endless cycle of excuses that keep people trapped in limitation. Once you've spoken these words and felt the internal shift that comes with claiming your commanding authority, something fundamental changes in how you relate to timing and circumstances. The revelations that come from this transformation are both liberating and confronting, because suddenly you can no longer hide behind the comfortable excuses that have been protecting you from taking full responsibility for your financial reality. You can no longer say, "Maybe next year," when an investment opportunity presents itself. You can no longer convince yourself that it's not the right time when a chance to increase your income appears. This mindset revolution happens because you've accessed the understanding that makes every moment the right time, when you're operating from commanding authority rather than waiting for permission. The hidden truth is that there's never a perfect time according to external circumstances. There's only the decision to claim your power and act from that place of knowing, regardless of what conditions currently exist. Write in the comments, "No more excuses," if you can feel this shift dissolving the comfortable limitations that have been keeping you playing small, because understanding how to maintain this authority when life tests your resolve will determine whether this becomes lasting change or temporary inspiration. The transformation from theory to practice is where this commanding authority either becomes real or remains just inspiration. And I want to show you exactly how to apply this in the moments that will test whether you've truly integrated this new identity. When that bill arrives in your mailbox and you feel that familiar panic rising in your chest, this is your opportunity to choose between old patterns and new authority. Instead of spiraling into worry or frantically calculating how you'll manage, you breathe deep and declare with quiet conviction, "Money comes when I call." Behind the scenes of this moment is where the real transformation happens. Your nervous system is expecting the usual stress response, but instead, you're programming it with commanding certainty. When you're presented with an opportunity to invest in yourself, whether it's education, coaching, or a business venture, and that old voice whispers, "I can't afford this," you have a choice point that determines your financial trajectory. This journey of practical application reveals something profound about how opportunities present themselves when you shift your internal position. Instead of shrinking back with automatic limitation, you pause, connect with your commanding authority, and declare your truth. What happens next often surprises people who are new to operating from this level of certainty. Solutions begin appearing that weren't visible when you were operating from scarcity. The impact of consistently applying this command in real situations creates what I call the final identity transformation. When you repeat this declaration enough times with genuine conviction, something fundamental shifts in who you are at the core level. You literally stop being someone who wants money and transform into someone who commands wealth. This isn't just a mental change, it's a cellular shift that affects how you walk through the world. This identity transformation is magnetic in ways that most people don't expect. Your presence changes. Your voice carries different weight in conversations. People respond to you differently during negotiations, interviews, and business discussions because they can sense you're operating from a fundamentally different relationship with abundance and possibility. The revelations that come from this sustained practice often surprise people because the changes happen gradually, then suddenly become undeniable. People start asking, "What's different about you?" They notice something has shifted in your energy, your confidence, your decision-making process. And you'll know exactly what happened. You remembered your authentic power and started operating from that place. Consistently. Write in the comments, "I am becoming magnetic." If you can envision yourself making this identity shift, and you're ready to discover how to maintain this commanding presence, even when circumstances temporarily challenge your new authority. If you've made it this far in our conversation, something inside you recognizes the truth in what we've been exploring together. The fact that you stayed through this entire transformation means you're ready for a different relationship with abundance, and that readiness is what creates real change in your life. This channel exists for people like you, those who are willing to question the limitations they've accepted and step into the authority they've always possessed. Every video we create here is designed to help you remember your authentic power and give you practical tools to reclaim control over your circumstances. If this resonates with your journey, subscribe so you don't miss the insights that could shift everything for you. Leave a comment saying, "This message was meant for me," if you feel like this conversation found you at exactly the right moment. I read every comment, because this community of people who are choosing to command rather than beg is what makes this work meaningful. And if this content created that internal shift I was describing, that moment when you felt your relationship with money actually changing, hit the like button. That connection we built throughout this conversation is exactly what tells me we're on the right path together. There's a video right here that takes this commanding authority even deeper, showing you how to apply these principles when your old patterns try to resurface. Click and continue with me over there, because the journey of transformation doesn't end with understanding. It begins with consistent application of what you now know is possible.